Hello everyone, welcome to our first reality technical webinar. We are very happy to host you today. We are very excited. So we know we have a lot of newcomers among us today this is first introduction to Reality Virtual Studio. So don't get intimidated. Don't hesitate to drop your questions in the Q&A box below. And we'll get to them during the webinar or afterwards. So yeah. Let's start a quick introduction about what Reality Virtual Studio is and give some time for our registrants to get it. Well, Reality Virtual Studio gives us the tools to have Hollywood-level real-time visual effects in your productions, whether it be an esports event, live event, a TV broadcast, or any other medium. And with Reality Engine and Reality Here, you have all the tools you need. So for us.
Hi, my name is Faraz, and I am working as a technical artist at Zero Density. So on top of it, there is something that meanwhile that we have more our attendees getting into it. So I want to add something more, like we have a node-based compositing pipeline, which is very unique among the other market competitors. And we have, you can say that we have image-based care, we have 3D masking techniques, and we have a lot of different tool set that you can make most of the virtual sets or augmented reality or other stuff for broadcast. So it's not only a webinar, it's a series of webinar basically. And today I'm just starting it, and it's a kind of a very basic intro, how reality works, how reality works with the reality control application works with your graphics, and how can you control your graphics in real time. And from there, I will take you to another level in which we learn how to make our graphics and integrate them with external data sources like CSV or JSON, and how we make most of the UMG module and making some fun stuff like overlay graphics, like lower thirds. No one can imagine that Unreal can even do this also. Yeah, lower thirds and 2 windows, 3 windows, and these kind of broadcast stuff. So it is just today is the first episode of our webinar series, and I am just targeting the new audience who don't know anything about Unreal, A, B, those who know Unreal but don't know anything about reality. So it's a kind of a basic scenario that we have, and you can get a very good idea that how our control application or reality API talk or communicate with the reality editor. So let's get started.
Sorry, I'm just gonna do, yeah. So start polling. I'll just initiate a poll. If everyone can answer it, that would be great. We'll get a percentage of how many newcomers we have among us today. So at the end of the day, we see how much we covered. So let's get started, Faraz.
Okay, let's get busy.
Yeah, as Faraz opens the platform, my name is Dirim. I'm a digital marketer at Zero Density. I will moderate your questions and help Faraz on this webinar. So let's see some great graphics.
Okay, guys, you can't see the splash screen because I'm sharing one of my screen and it is blank right now. You just see my mouse cursor. And if there is anything that you think that is weird, you can't see my screen or you can't hear my voice, just send us a message so we can take care of these things also. Okay, I'm just going to open my stuff. one more thing that I need to share with you guys, that this webinar is not about Unreal, or not about the Unreal things like the blueprints, how to make blueprints, what is Unreal, and what we can design and do with the Unreal, because there is already lots of stuff, millions of tutorials, millions of videos, and especially I would love to talk about the Unreal Academy, because they have several learning paths there. You can learn a lot about Unreal online. So I am just focusing on those things which you don't know, which you don't have any clue about, right? Like how reality works, how the control application work, how you control your graphics in the real time, okay? So if you want to learn about Unreal, there are millions of resources out there, and I love to guide you how you start. So it's another scenario, but for now, we just get started with the basic scene. Okay, so what I'm going to do, that what you are seeing right now, most of the Unreal users are just watching the screen and they are just thinking about that it's Unreal. Yes, of course, Unreal Editor is a fork version of Unreal, and thing that you can see right now is just 100% exactly just like Unreal Editor. So what makes the difference? This is what I'm going to tell you today, okay? So let's have started a very basic thing, you know, a very, very basic thing. Like, I'm just dragging a cube. I'm repeating myself that this is not about Unreal training, it's about the reality training, it's a reality control application. How should we supposed to control our graphics with the reality API, okay? But even you can learn a lot about Unreal during these webinars, because we can't skip those parts. I'm just, for the few things, I'm just started them from very scratch, so you can see how thing works in Unreal, right? Okay, guys. So I have a very basic cube. I just modify it by scale. And because there is no light in the scene, you can't see anything, okay? Let me put a light there. And we can change its color. Okay, so what's fancy about? Nothing. Now, I will show you few things which gives you a very basic idea how reality editor works in conjunction with the reality control application. So I'm going to delete this slide. First, I need to create a blueprint. It's a actor blueprint. Primarily, we have two different type of blueprints. One is the class blueprint and one is the level blueprints. And right now I'm using a blueprint class, and just name it whatever you want. Okay, so there is a user interface. There is a screen that you can see right now. On the left, I have add component panel, and I'm going to add a light here. I'm going to select my point light here, okay? Just compile and drag it into the scene. So it's a blueprint which has my light component. I'm going to change its color right from here. And what I'm going to do is a very basic thing. Just turn it on and turn it off with reality system. That's it, nothing else. So I just drag my light component here, okay? Drag it, toggle visibility, and it's better that I have a function for this. Light switch. And just connect it. By default, it's turned off, so I'm going to set its visibility off. Okay. Now, interesting part. I just miss one thing deliberately right here, so I can show you how it works. This is reality control. The splash screen you are seeing right now, it has different applications, but today we just gonna concentrate on one or two of them. Press F7. Yeah, it's a reality graph. And when I hit the play button right here, you see a very unique screen right in front of you. And what it is, it's a reality mixer, which just you might see these kind of things in, I just see these kind of things in news VCR or MCRs. And it helps you to see multiple cameras, multiple passes like light, alpha, bloom, and everything. So what I'm going to do right now, I see nothing else. Okay. Now, when I hit play, my reality editor is supposed to communicate with the reality setup. And I need to trigger my light function on and off. What happened is I miss. That's why I told you. The ZD actor. When I put my ZD actor in any blueprint class, it helped this blueprint to communicate with the control application. And when I hit play, you see what happened right now. My light is here. And when I select my light, my public function is right here. So how should I supposed to see my light? So very simple. I am just going to show you this. By the way, one more thing that I forget to tell you that basically the reality setup, I can divide it into two. One is the design, one is the production part. The production part has lots of different stuff like compositing nodes and keying and virtual setup and everything. And because today we are just we're just going to talk about the reality design pipeline. So I'm not taking you into those things. So what I'm going to do right here, just set up my camera just to see my scene properly. Forget about the mixer. And we don't have tracking data right now, so the dummy tracking, the user track. I'm just pressing the tab key and the search window is there, okay? So link it, and here we go. Set the immersive mode, and now I'm going to show you that how it basically works. It's hard to work with, you know, like this. So it is quite basic, but it gives you an idea that how reality control our blueprints with the help of our functions. And later on, I will show you the custom events and the variables and so many other things. So this is the first basic step that I take in order to give you a very short intro that how reality control application works. So this is the node graph, okay? And my blueprint is right here in front of me. It's BP, my light. And when I click my blueprint, I can see my function right here. And this function is, I will show you right here. When I click this, you see the execution pin and the execution line show some animations which tell that it toggle the visibility for this light, like this. Okay, this is just a very basic thing for the start. Okay, what's next? Yes, let's take it to another level. Again, a blueprint class. Definitely actor class will do 90% jobs for us. So BP blueprint my cube anim, and here we go. So there are so many components that we can start work with. Okay, so for this example, I'm going to take static mesh actor and select a very basic cube right from here, my search window. Okay, here we go. Just name it something more literal, cube or something. Okay, let's put it somewhere right here. Maybe there. This is my BP, my cube anim, and it carry my cube, simple. So what if I want to trigger my animation? I want to animate it first and then trigger this animation from control application, from a reality art graph, okay? And later, definitely, I will show you some more applications like action builder and action control application, which helps operators to manipulate the graphics in real time without having this interface, which sometimes might be complex for the operator level personnel to handle. But it is just, I'm just warming you guys up for the next level, so bear with me. Okay, again, my cube component, in order to animate, I just set the relative transform, relative, I want to animate the position, rotation, and scale. Here we go. And one good thing about blueprints is that we have their own timeline to animate our stuff or anything that we want. Let's make some space. Okay, this is just a blank timeline. It has nothing right now. We need to add some tracks in order to animate our stuff. So double click on it. There are so many tracks. There are 4 different tracks, and I'm just going to select one, which is the flow track, and it works fine for most of the scenarios. I'm just going to add keyframe by just pressing Shift key right here, and it's 0, and most of the animators are familiar with this thing, what it is, okay? So just set the length. So 0 second, the value is 0, and 1 second, the value is 1. It's a very simple, very basic timeline, nothing else. You just see the graph, 2 keyframes, and that's it, nothing else. So if I have my track here, oh, one more thing, don't forget to rename it, right? If you don't rename it, nothing happened. It's okay, but it's a good idea. It's always good to have proper naming convention. Okay, the cube track is here, and it says that it is a float because it's green, right? And it is the transform. So if I want to animate my transform, can I connect it? No. Why? Because I need to tell it that the float is always connect with the float, not with the transform pin. So I drag it, make transform, and here we go. Now I can connect it? Yes, I can, but I will not. Why? Because I want to animate a particular axis of my cube. Like only this time, in this case, I just want to animate the z-axis, okay? So if I have one execution pin and X, Y, and Z, what I supposed to do in order to get these split axes like X, Y, and Z separated? Just drag them again and make a vector. Now you see what happened. I have a location which is split the axis in the vector X, Y, and Z. Should I connect it now? Yes, of course. But it is 1, it is 0, the animation will be something like this. 1, 0, 1, 0, and it doesn't make any sense. So what should I supposed to do? I have two options. A, to give it a big number, like on second one, on 1 second, maybe 100 or 200, 250, something. But I want, because I want this timeline for several other things. The same timeline I will use for maybe rotation, for scaling also. So what I am going to do right now is separate it and use another function. There are so many things by which we can do this, achieve the same results, but for the sake of your understanding, now it is lerping, this timeline is lerping between two different values, A and B, by using the same timeline, this. So if I put 100 here and then connect it right here, let's see what happened. It animates the timeline from 0 to 1, from 0 and lerp between the 0 and 100. So what happened, what's supposed to happen is 100, 0, 100, and 0. In order to trigger this particular line of code, this logic, I need to connect it with my relative transform. So when some event hit this timeline, it animates the transformation and only the location, Z location, based on these two lerp values. And this has happened when I use a custom event. So the custom events execute a set of logic, set of nodes simultaneously and play cube or something. Naming convention is up to you. I just connect it right here, nothing else. So I have a set of nodes, and this is very basic. Let me tell you once more that what is. My cube is getting its relative position from this timeline with the help of lerping these two values from 0, its first position, and 100 will be the next. Okay, so let me compile it, and don't forget to add z-reactor, because we need to communicate, and in the z-reactor we can put maybe cube animation. Okay, and it's already there in the scene. Okay, and let's play it. We can save the R graph also for our future use, and I've already saved it previously. So I think yeah, it's there. Let me turn on the light first. This is the blueprint. Switch on the light. And now I'm going to play my animation, but I forget one thing. Where is the function? In order to trigger an event, we need to define a function. So let's do it. Let's create a function, play, and connect it with this custom event, which is play cube. It is very easy. Right here, just search it. And that's it. Let's try it. What happened? I've already saved my R graph. I just need to select, turn on the light and just play it. Oh, it's working. But it worked once. When an event completed, when the task is complete, it never run again. So we need to define another logic that if I click it again, it plays the reverse animation, and it's quite easy. What I'm doing right here is to just add another step in my logic, and which is a built-in flip-flop. First, when we hit the event, it play, and second time when we hit the event, it reverse. That's it, nothing else. Save it, play it again. I'm just playing just hit the play button here. It starts communicating with the reality setup, and all the blueprints with ZD actor added, you can see right here, and all the public functions are already visible there. So open last saved rgraph file and let's check it again. My cube animation, turn on the light if you want to, play my cube animation. Okay, now we can reverse the animation with a single button. Okay, something like this. Well, fine. What about more control? I just put 100 here. And whenever someone asks me to change my animation, I need to come back in the blueprint, change the blueprint, and it's not feasible for me to do in the real-time broadcast environment. So what I'm going to do is create another variable, which is and pose or something. By default, the variable type is Boolean. It means yes or no. Variable, by the way, variables are the container which carries our data, different data types. So this variable type, which is shown right here in red, is the Boolean type, which carries only yes or no. You can just make two decisions with the help of this variable. I'm just going to change its type from Boolean to float. and drag it, you get or you set. You have two options right there. I want to get user input for this value. So as a getter, I am just connecting it with and making my initial value, giving it its initial values like 100. That's it. So when I just left one thing, again, it's not that I'm forgetting it. I did it deliberately. Okay, again.
We know you do it for us to
Yeah,
learn,
yeah,
don't worry.
yeah. Yes. So people get the idea if something went wrong, right? They remember it always. So I did something wrong, and again, it's the same thing. Where should I supposed to set my end value? It was 100. You know what I did? We need to make it public. Right from here or right from here, it's up to you. I just click on this eye icon and make it public. Now every public variable appear in every exported blueprint. You see right here, it is the end pose. So again, turn on the light, play the animation, it works fine. Okay, it's just 100 centimeter up from the ground, right? Okay, fine, perfect. What about when I change it something 250? Okay, let's move it down. Okay, and I'm doing this in real time, right? What about maybe 350? Yes. Now you see that every public variable becomes a property for the R graph. When I hit the play button, all the public functions, all the public events, all the public properties exposed to the R graph in order to manipulate them in real time. When I hit the save button, all the properties saved with the R graph. So you don't have to modify them or remember the initial value or end value for the last production that you did. So I just save it, and again I play it, and you see my last value was 350 and it's there. It is still there. So let's move on to some more add-ons. Like what if I just want to rotate it? Okay, so you just repeat the process again. It's everything I'm describing right now. It's you have so many tutorials online available for these kind of stuff, and I don't think so that I need to elaborate it in more detail. So maybe ease or lerp or whatever. So from the location we get make vector. From the rotation, definitely we get make rotator. So I am going to connect it right here, and let's see what happened. Let's move my camera a bit closer. Okay, something.
There's a question about the blueprint. Do you want to take it now?
Just give me 2 minutes. I'm just going to finish the basic, and
Okay.
I will happy to give the answer. Okay. Now when I hit play, oh yeah, Let me turn on the light so you can see it more clearly. And also, I don't want to move it just here. It's quite hard. Yeah. You see? It's a position and it's a rotation, it's a blueprint, and there is a public variable. You can say the property is here. You can check the R graph. It exposed, it communicates seamlessly with the blueprint, with Unreal blueprint, with the help of the Reality Editor and Reality API. It's a seamless communication. Yes, I love to have the question now.
Okay, so the question is there any way to not load the camera and tracking nodes every time there's a modification to the blueprint? Is there any way to create those nodes inside Unreal and just add CD active to it?
Well, if you want to check your logic, you just want to check your logic, that is it working or not. You don't need to create functions, or you don't need to create something like ZD actor for this, okay? And then go into the R graph. What I used to do is to trigger my events with the help of, keyboard shortcuts like F1, F2, F3. So what you need to do is just select the game mode and on air. Now, if you make the logic with the blueprint, with the keyboard shortcuts, you can check them with the help of those shortcuts. You don't need to open it, but when you finalize your thing and when you are finishing your project, you have to check it with the Reality R graph, because it is your things are communicating properly with the scene or not. But if you don't want to do this, there is an easy step that I always use. That in the game mode, I check my, initially I just link them, I just connect them with the keyboard shortcuts. And if I just want to make the light turn on and turn off, and even for this smallest thing, I need to open the R graph and everything, I don't have to. I just connect it with some sort of C shortcut maybe. And when I press C in the game mode, I see what happened in the blueprint. So there is a way, yeah, of course. Okay, so let's move on. And before I move on, I will show you what we have webinars, and then we will get back to it. We'll get back to our current scenario. Okay, because I think that the people have already joined, so that's why I delayed it. It was the first part of my webinar, but I delayed it because I want to show everyone that what we have in the coming series of webinars. Okay, so let's say,
I'm getting a feeling that you're going to show us something cool.
yeah, it's not only the coolest thing that I've ever done with Unreal. It is something very unique, and we have already get lots of appreciation for this. So what we have, let me load my R graph, and now you know that why R graph is very important and very unique thing to have. This is my stuff that you are seeing right now. Okay, what I did is
A node graph art. That's
yes,
what it looks like.
yeah, it is, because these are my blueprints. These are my widget blueprints, actually. You know that there is a module, UMG module in Unreal, and it used to people are using it for the game interface design or inventory system or something like this, but we use it for what? We use it for overlay graphics. And it is the same overlay graphics that you used to see on the different channels. Oh yeah, my mistake. Let me show you right here in the immersive mode. Let's play it again. Okay. So I am moving it because it's I want to show the whole screen to you guys what happened. It is something like this. And maybe and this gonna be one of our next webinar. And it is more detailed and most of the from non-Unreal background. So we keep it very basic today, right? And there are so many other stuff, okay? And what it is just a widget blueprint, nothing else. And it is, you can control it real time. You can change the text, you can change the graphics, you can change the animation, you can change the color, even the position, whatever you want to change. It's all in your control. And what we have next, this is one of our next webinar. Let me take you to another project. Just want to close it. And it is, again, UNG module. Okay, you can't see the screen, now you can. This is just a virtual video wall that I've created, and by the way, these content will be shipped with our new big release, or the biggest release, you can say, that 2.9 with Reality 2.9, and you can even explore it by yourself if you have, when we will release it. Okay, now play it. Again, I need to load my R graph for this on the desktop. And it is there. Yes. It is a 3D mesh wrapped with the UMG texture, and it is playable. Yes. I can just play it for you, something like this. And everything that you are seeing right now is it is not a video, or it's not a rendered graphic. It's just playing in real time. And even maybe you can change the text. like this. Okay, this gonna be another webinar.
For sure.
Yeah, that how you can create the graphics and make it 3D. You see that it is, let me show you clearly that it is a 3D screen, right? And with the help of very basic logic, with the help of very basic thing, I made this blueprint works. And definitely I will give you at the end of the webinar, I will give you a brief overview of the news reality starter content also. Another thing. And after that, I will definitely get back to the content. Yeah. And maybe this one. Okay, just on air. I hope I have Arga for this. And yes, I have. It is something like this, a simple scoreboard. But there is something very unique about this. Again, it's a UMG, it's a widget blueprint, right? But it's 3D, okay? And B, it is getting data from JSON right now. Let me show you something. This is the JSON string here, and paste it a node graph so you can see easily. This is it. You can change the color from the JSON, you can change the position, it's just a basic string. So we have another webinar for this, and it is all about the external data sources, like how you design your graphics, your blueprints for CSV maybe, or for JSON. And let me change a few things for you so you can see that it's working or not. Let me write my name here, Faraz. Control A, Control C, and I'm just going to paste it right here. So, yeah, it works. Okay, this gonna be another webinar. And I have so many other stuff. So just
a couple of teasers.
Yeah, it's
you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So let me get back to the content again. So what if I have a texture, I want to change my texture in real time? Let me create a very basic material for you guys. M_. Add a texture node.
Regarding the JSON, I'm going to interfere.
Yeah.
Okay, to integrate the JSON XML, HTML, or I don't know, can it just load the file?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. That's what you did, no?
Yeah, exactly.
You just load the file.
You can load the file, you can change the file, and it reflect in your blueprints.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Okay, I'm just having a dummy texture here. And in order to change your texture in real time, you just need to make it a parameter. That's it. Convert to parameter, name it, maybe, I don't have, oh, sorry. Name it whatever you want. I just name it texture. I just save it. If you want to make an instance of it, go ahead. If you want to use it directly, it's up to you. So my texture material is right here. M underscore my texture. Okay, so how are we gonna change this texture to the one that we already have in disk? This is what we can do in 1 or 2 steps. Okay, just leave my animation logic right here. In the construction script or with event begin play, wherever you want, just drag the cube component right here and make a dynamic material instance for this. Okay, and save it into the variable. You know what happened? That in order to get the texture, we need to get the geometry first, and then the material, and then the texture. So it's the step 1, we have our cube. Step 2, we have dynamic material instance, and I'm going to save it in a variable by just clicking promote to variable button right here. Okay, and name it whatever you want, material instance or something. In the event graph, I just going to drag my material instance that I created right here, and we have a texture parameter control, set texture parameter value. Okay, and what name it? This name is very important. Copy it from there, paste it right here, and connect it with an event. But we need to define a data type, a public data type, a public variable in order to change the texture in real time. Okay, so you can promote it into the variable, or you can do this. You can do something like this. My texture. Okay, make it public, drag it, but you need to define it is the float type and this is the texture type. How should I supposed to connect it? No way. I'm just select appropriate type for this, and it is texture render target 2D. Change the variable. And just connect it right here. Now, property callback, what it is. In the reality editor, you have property callback events and property callback functions. What they are, just take a close look right here. On changed my texture. What happened when I put the name of my custom event on changed, and after underscore I put the variable. Whenever this variable change, it triggered the event. I don't need to create another function in order to trigger this event, right? Whenever I change my texture, because it's a public variable type, it hit the event, and what this event do is change my texture, because this is my texture name, my parameter name right here. I'm just going to connect it ZD actor is already there. Later, I will tell you without ZD actor what you can do. You can still export your blueprints into the reality setup. And let's check it. What happened? Did I miss something? No. Seems fine. Okay. So again, desktop, webinar basics. And it's a game mode. Select none or ZD game mode. It's the same because this is when you select none, it's already selected. It's already select by default the ZD game mode. So it is all thing happen starts from here. It is something like this. Because in the game mode, reality editor just work like Unreal editor, okay? You can't communicate with the blueprints in that mode. Webinar basics. Okay, I can see my texture. Let's zoom in a bit. Turn on the light. It's in my blueprint. Let's check our animation. Is it working? Oh, yes, it is working. Okay, perfect. Let's take a look at the event, what happened. Guys, can you see the cube blueprint expose another pin here, which is my texture. And this is actually what I exposed from my blueprint in order to connect it with my texture node. I can change my texture in real time. Let's check it. Right click, create, media IO. We have several ways to change the textures with the ZD nodes, and media input is one of them. Okay, I just click and click here. It connects. Anything, maybe this one. Oh, it's already there. Maybe I have video so you guys can see it.
By the way, we have a question asking that, can this template run in Unreal Engine without reference software?
You need to change the logic for this because the ZD actor is there. I made my functions. Yes, of course, it runs, but how somebody wants to run these things in Unreal? Why? This is my question. Because of any control, without any control application, these blueprints are just dummies, nothing, just a design.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, because the blueprint logic remains same for the Unreal and for the reality editor as well. You can use it, but my question is that why someone want to use these kind of thing in Unreal? But my answer is yes, they can.
Maybe they can tell us why they would prefer to do so,
Yeah.
so we'll respond to that.
Okay, it's a bit dark here because one thing that I missed is I need to make, I'm just doing everything very basic, you know. So everyone from this webinar, everyone get better understanding of Unreal, okay, and better understanding of reality editor and how should we supposed to control our graphics with the help of reality control applications, reality API, what are the do's and don'ts with the blueprints, functions and variables and everything, okay, but in a very basic manner. So let's play it again. Load my R graph. Now you can see that it's there. Okay, and I am going to have maybe the video from, I don't know, for video check. Yes, it's working. It is working. Okay, this is how you change your texture in real time. And now maybe I can animate it. Turn the light on and just play it. So this is the very basic introduction of, you can say that reality editor and how it works with the control application and everything, and what are the do's and don'ts, how function exposed to the reality node graph, and how public variables work with the reality node graph and everything. But there are so many things left. How much time we spent so far, Berim?
What time you mean? During the webinar?
Yeah.
An hour.
Oh, great.
Yes.
So maybe we have more time because it's just, I'm just warming up. Okay, so really quickly, one thing that you can do with the reality, remove. Don't want to have that ZD actors anymore. Okay, don't want to have that ZD actors. I'm just deleting the ZD actors from my blueprints, both of my blueprints. Just save it, save it. Perfect. And to confirm that they are gone, now you can't see them here. Okay, fine. This is what I want. And where is my light? There it is, delete it. And where is my cube? Delete it. Because we have a reality export right in the project setting. What we can do, we can export geometries, meshes, textures, nodes, material definition, post-process material, everything, almost everything that you want to export to the R graph separately. So in the actor dropdown, I'm just going to add an actor class, and from that class, I am going to select my blueprint that I want to export. It is BP underscore my cube. Here it is. And you can even define the category. Let's make it webinar. And export name, yes, of course, it is cube underscore anim or something. Let's add another element for the light. Make it light. Switch, sorry for the caps. I just turned it off mistakenly. From the actor class, just select this blueprint, BP underscore my class. Okay, where it is. Here it is. BP underscore my light, sorry. And I would like to add this also in the same category. You don't have to save it, it's already saved in the config file. So save, close it, close, close. Load the R graph from there. And okay, this is the media input node. Leave it. Right click, create, and you see it adds another category, which is webinar. And here we go. We have both of our blueprints right here. So let's select cube. It's there. and it's working, right? So you can make your own category based on your task or production need, and you can have them right here, the category name, and I decide my category name by my own. It's a webinar, right? Light switch. So the light is there. I don't know. Let's turn it on and move it right there. You see, it is right there. Light is working. After export, cube is working. Here is my media texture. I just want to put it, or even if you want it, you don't want it, just delete it. That's it. It's a clean workflow. So without ZD Actor, you can still export your blueprints, your actors, your meshes, your textures with the help of reality export, and which is, you can't find it, by the way, in Unreal Vanilla, because there are so many people who search for it maybe. It is right there in the reality drop down, reality export, and I did this right from there. Okay, so we learned how to animate, how to make functions and variables and callback properties and everything. Now I am going to start when we merge all of them together. Light control, texture control, animation control, everything. If everything is there, what happened? Let me give you a walkthrough of my scene. It is very basic scene. Just to give a backdrop to my graphics, I just add some, you can say that, random shapes there. I don't create material because I use a material from the starter content. I just change it in a way, right? This material that you can see right here is from the starter content, okay? And this material right there, you can see it's from the starter content. It's shipped with Unreal Vanilla. I didn't do anything fancy here, okay? And I just want to show you my asset. I'm 3ds Max user, by the way, and just start learning Blender.
By the way, there is a question about that. So we learned how to export our blueprints.
Yeah.
And there's a question if we can import the 3D file from other sources, such as
Yeah.
like Cinema 4D, Maya, or 3D
Oh yes,
Max.
oh yes, oh yes. I'm just exactly on it.
So, okay, so that question is answered.
Yes, let me move it right here. Open, maybe this one. And these are the very, very basic. You see, these are the very basic elements. I just open a rough UVs, and just for the sake of your understanding, I didn't try to do something perfect and just give them a material ID, although I know that it's not a good idea to give them a material ID if an object have you like 4 or 5 material IDs, the geometry calls, it increase the geometry calls and hit your performance. But anyway, this is it. This is 3ds Max, and I didn't texture them right here. I just defined some material IDs and model them right here. And just export the FBX and import it into my scene. Here we go. Very basic. Okay, just change few things in default materials that in the basic material that already we have. And I also made this in 3ds Max and export them as a mesh file, as a static mesh. So I just put, let me give you a walk through my scene. Just put the post-process volume right there. And when you see that when I just turn it off, it's something like this. Okay. So very basic again. And what we have now, there is a technical part. I have two set of graphics. First, I will run it in front of you so you can see the results. Okay. Then we will talk about this. And I'm not going to design it from scratch. It will take like too much time for me, like 4 or 5 hours maybe. So it can't be covered in this webinar. I will just give you an overview that how it works. So okay, let's open another thing, which is most people are concerned about the user interface of how we should trigger these graphics from the node graph. You don't have to. You have a separate application for this, right? I didn't make all the controls, but few of them are here, just to give you some basic example. This is reality action, in action. Okay. Now, what happened? I just configure it something like this. Okay, and maybe the player left, and maybe the player right, and some more animations, like this. Okay, so I'm just dragging it onto another screen so you can see it easily, how it works. Yeah, Birim?
So we are on the live show, okay?
Yeah.
I'm a news broadcast for sports.
Yeah.
And there's a question, and I want to answer it right now. Like, he's asking if we can simplify this reality engine so the anchor can just trigger them with an iPad or a control device. Is it possible?
Yes. A very good question. Who is this guy?
Why? Okay. Ali Aslan is asking.
Yes,
so
Ali.
We can control
yes,
the
Ali, we can. And let me tell you how. I am just showing you this interface, which is something that I call action builder, right? We will have in future, in very near future, we will have Reality Hub. And this is the web-based control application with so many amazing features.
Let me cut into that.
Yeah.
We demoed it. We made the debut at IBC 2019.
Oh, yeah.
So you can find our demo in YouTube and with a small clip of how Reality Hub is working beforehand.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah. Again, you can control it with an iPad.
Okay, so this is again the very basic thing and how I made it. Now let's come to a little technical for the newbies. Yes, of course, but it's very simple. I've show you how to create your blueprints, right? This is my blueprint right here. I just add a mesh, which I model 3D Studio Max. I just put it right here. And this is just a basic material which a panning note here, and it's just a basic thing, nothing fancy. Okay, so it is just a basic mesh. And the other thing, I've already hide them because of a reason, something like this and this and this too, maybe my player also. Yeah, where it is. Okay. And again, the particles that I show you on screen, not created by me. I just bought them last year from Unreal Marketplace, very cheap, Black Friday sale. Yeah, that was a Black Friday.
Today, yeah. Last year.
Yeah. So that was something amazing you can find on Unreal Marketplace for your stuff. So why should I supposed to reinvent the wheel? Okay, now here we go. This is my basic template that you can see right here with text, back text plate, just a 2D cutout of a character, okay, and a pad, launching pad type of thing, nothing else. I've just created it in the blueprint and just move it apart and everything. It's just static, nothing else. What I did afterwards, I defined the logic here. What I want to do with these set of graphics, okay? So I've just initiate, it's little hard to describe you, but I will try because it's for the very basic who don't know, very basic people who don't know anything about Unreal. It's quite hard for me, but anyway, I will try. I just initiate my events in this blueprint, right? Like set player image and transition. The transition that you see for the player, I just initiate a float value here, and in that particular event, even you can still add inputs to your events, you know, and like setting text for bottom and top. I just create another event, just set it like this, and just animate my graphics from this event. And I've already shown you, you see that there's a lerp, a basic timeline. I've already described you everything except the text. I forget it. Let me give this some time. Set relative transform, everything is quite simple. What I did, because I have multiple graphics, not one, maybe two, maybe three. So I made a control blueprint in order to control these graphics, okay? So let me make them default again, so we can animate them easily and set their initial type to visible. I can also define these things in the blueprint, you know, but I didn't. And invisible and invisible. Compile it, save it. So then what I did, I just drag it in the viewport and make a duplicate copy of it. That's it, nothing else. So what I did right here, let me tell you. This is my board graphics, and I just make it my control blueprint. From there, I can control this blueprint also, okay? How? First, there are so many ways to communicate, to create a communication between two blueprint, and the casting is one of them. I don't have any argument with the guy who create instance for the communication, maybe even dispatcher, get all actors of class, anything that you want. For this example, I want to keep it very basic and very simple. I've just cast it on the event begin play and store these into my variables. What I cast, I'm talking about these two instances of the blueprint, okay? Because if I don't save them into these variable, how should I supposed to get these things? I need to trigger this event. I need to get this text and this. So first, in this blueprint, you need to cast them, save them. And then what I did, set team logos. Yes, I can change the logos also. Okay. And it's just a conventional way that I have already described you earlier. And this is my team logo R, and this is my left logo, and it is the header text. Okay. And this is my right image. Look, here it is. Set player, where it is, in the BP underscore base, it is right here, and I get it right here. How? Because I have stored those blueprints into these variables. So when I get it from there, let me get it again so you can see it. You see, it is right there. And where it came from? It came from right here. So let's try this one, text update, okay? Right there. So now you can get every property that you define, every function, every event, because these two blueprints are now talking with each other, okay? So I just get it. I just want to trigger my right graphics, and everything that I define here want to trigger by itself. Left graphics, setting green is setting screen texture. Okay, the screen texture is there. I want to change, if I want to change this texture, I'm talking about this, right? Play left and right text animation, it's there because text animation is already there right here in the blueprint, okay? Left plate and right plate, you see? And it is the particle that I am spawning. And the location that I set is the plate. And what is plate? It is right there. Let's make it visible. This one, okay? Make it invisible again. So these, it may be for the one who didn't know anything about Unreal, maybe it looks like a complicated thing, but still, it's a quite basic logic that I have created for this set of graphics. And one more thing, let's play it again, and then I will let you know about the text. Let's play it again. And where is my blueprint? I forget one thing. Why I always forget things. I also create a sequence just to demonstrate you guys that we can get sequencer in the reality node graph. Okay, I just create a very basic animation for these two. What I did, that I just put my blueprints into the sequencer, and in the sequencer you can get every actor from that particular blueprint and do whatever you want to do. A sequencer is a, that it's a more convenient way to animate your things, but it's not meant to animate your things. It's for something else like cinematics and the editing stuff. But still, you can, if you want to, you can animate your stuff right there. Okay, it's just a basic animation. And just remember the name, what the name of this sequence, it is sports sec. Let's play it and I will show you what I did in
Can you play it with the, can you add the players later on?
yeah.
Yeah, add the players and
Oh
show how
yeah,
to
yeah,
change
yeah,
them.
exactly. I can just play, right click, create experimental level sequence. It's there. Every sequence that you create in your level, it's right there. You can have your sequence not only just play, but you can see that all the related functions are there. Okay, so what I did, I just link my, this is the power of reality R graph. Now, you know, Brim, what I just connect my sequence to my blueprint with a trigger. So this is, that's why the R graph helps you to manage your things. It's not complicated. You can say that it's an other layer of logic that you create in R graph, just like blueprints. So if I run it separately, because I connect it with the trigger. Yeah, it's working. And where is the reverse? There it is. It's play, it's reverse. Yes, this is just a sequencer. And what I did in my R graph, I connect it with the trigger node with my blueprint. So when I play, when I trigger this, the sequencer play and my blueprints functions are also played along with this. Let's check it now. You see?
Yeah.
The animation that you are seeing right now, the pad animation, is from the sequencer. And the fancy particles and text plates and player transition, it's all from the blueprint. I connect them together in my R graph with the help of this trigger node. And this is the sequence. And it is the same sequence which you get in the Unreal Blueprint, okay? So if I want to change my players, what? Let me show you.
Arshad, we're answering your question.
Yeah, is there any question?
How to change the player image in real-time workflow.
Yeah.
Wanted to know.
Oh, okay. So let's say if you have a real-time workflow and you want to change the player image, the blueprint remains the same that I told you how to change the cube texture. But what I created here, just check it out. I am really very sorry that it's just a very little space here. Okay. Maybe no. By the way, I'm not following football or soccer. If I did something very strange or weird or wrong, because the football fans are, the soccer fans are very aggressive, you know.
Yeah, I'm gonna close my eyes when you play.
Yeah, exactly. I just know two football players, and it is the Cristiano and Messi. That's it. So, so what I'm doing right now is the left player, I'm changing it from Cristiano to Messi, and the right player, I'm changing it from whatever to add and
Don't
out.
say whatever.
Yeah.
You're just making it worse.
Okay. Now let's check it. What happened? Okay, it's messy. Oh, it changed. Now I will show you in real time. Okay, that what is happening. That it's someone Myanmar or yeah, and maybe this one. So this is not the workflow that I defined because I'm doing it in front of you. You can see a jerk in the image. First you hide it, change it, and then reappear it. Okay, and now what about the names? Yes, you can change them in real time, of course. The webinar, make it something like reality, okay? And I am changing Cristiano to Faraz, or I love strike, so I'm a striker, and BIRIM, maybe Brim.
I'm definitely forward.
Yes, you're forward. Okay, and just check it. Let me update first, and it's there. Let's check the left one, okay? And the Birim is forward.
I'm handsome.
So we have a very basic workflow, and how I achieve it, let me show you one more thing. We can get these player images from disk, from our hard drive, from the network storage, but I adopt a different approach. What I did, let me show you. I just import my asset in Unreal. It is not the convenient way, I know, because you always want to change your asset. You don't want to come back here in editor, but still you can do this. And here we go in exports, and in the texture, you see, these are my textures right here. Okay. I just export them, and when you export them, what happened? Let's check it out. When you export them, you can have them in this category. It is, sorry, let me open my R graph first. It is the left player, create, post process, UE light, variable, UE actor, and let me check it. I just, maybe, no, not that one. What about searching it? Okay, I just forget the name of the node which carries all the exports. And. Okay, I will get back when I remember. Let's move on. The webinar, no. VMD render. Okay, in the meanwhile, when I'm remembering it, just let me explore the action builder for you guys, that how we can work with creating our own buttons and everything. So let me open the basic levels. Okay, and for this level, I'm going to create my user interface. This is gonna be my last topic, and after that I will wind it up, hopefully. And I am just going to open my R graph, here it is. And on the desktop, you can see an icon, which is Action Builder. It wants me to save my action somewhere, maybe on the desktop right now. When I save it, I already have an action. I just want to delete it first and create it from scratch for you guys. Create action, action name, webinar, sorry for the caps. Okay, and in the webinar tab, I just need to add, there are several types of panels we have for the user interface. I'm just, for the time being, I'm just going to select the dock panel right here. Right click on this, create an action group, and when you create an action group, you see that it appears right here. Right click, create an action, and this is the button. This is the button that you have. And what I want to do with this button, I just want to animate my cube. Call node function. I know that it is the function which animate my cube. And from this node, I'm just going to select my, okay, it is on air or not. Oh, sorry, because I delete them from the scene and I'm sorry. It's there, okay? So what I want to do with this node, maybe I want to have, where is my cube anim, and I want to play my cube. So it is a very basic button. What it do, it just, and you can do a lot of stuff with this action builder kind of a thing. It's for operator only. Yes, you can create your buttons and you can create your interface and give it to the newsroom operator who can just click the button, CG operator who can just click the button, change the material, change the image, change the texture, in, out, name, and even you can create your own playlist out of it. Okay, so this is something very, you know, that it's a kind of a basic thing for today's webinar. And I will try one more time. Where is my scene? And do we have more question, Birim?
Yes, we have.
Oh my God. Okay.
Do you have more things to tell? We have more questions to answer.
No,
That's how it goes.
I just, it's wind up. Okay, and let me check it again. UE actor, billboard projection tract, UE light. We have so many ZD nodes here which do a wonderful job when you need them, when you are using them. And it's a texture brush, UMG renderer, maybe light actor, UE. Yes, ask the question, please.
Yes, so
Don't
when
wait
you
for me.
have your Unreal scene ready,
Yeah.
do you compile, build it, or use Unreal Editor? What is the good practice here?
Sorry, again.
So you have your Unreal scene ready, okay? Do
Yeah.
you compile it or use Unreal Editor? What is the good practice?
When I ready my scene, I definitely, what this, it means that he want to ask something regarding the cooking. Do you cook it or use Unreal Editor? This is, I guess, because compile is not the word for cooking. Yes, if you want the performance out of your scene, out of your design, we recommend cook it. The cooked version is optimized version. It is editor independent version, and we recommend always cook your scene before take it then to the production or on air. But still you can run your scene in the editor mode also.
Okay.
Any other question?
So one is about Unreal Engine support of for 23. Currently, we have Reality 2.8 release, which supports Unreal Engine 422. But as Jinji generously answered, with Reality 2.9, which will be released soon, Unreal Engine 423 will be supported. So it's coming. And there is also another question.
Yeah, please.
If you have a multi-camera virtual set,
Yes.
can zero density trigger events on multiple machines simultaneously, or we have to use Unreal for it? Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. I asked and I answered it myself. Yes, you can. Yes, zero density can trigger.
Yeah, multiple machines. Definitely, you have, and definitely you have multiple machine most of the time, because multiple engines most of the time, because in your studio you have multiple tracked cameras. Okay, so when you trigger your events or your from the control application, from the control server, or wherever you want to trigger them, it happens simultaneously over the engines. Or you can also bifurcate them into separate, like if you want to want to trigger your event on a particular engine, you can do this and just bypass those rest of the engines. You can do this. So it's in your control. It's totally in your control. Yeah. When I stuck with something, I never give up. Okay, we are, I think we just, okay, this is the node. It is Unreal Texture node. And I don't know why it is not showing up right there. And when I export my textures, you see, here is a list, and it is created automatically right here. Okay, so maybe you want to have them externally from your hard drive, and maybe if you want to have them, you can even import them in Reality Editor and export them as an asset. You can do this. So is there any other question that you guys want to ask before I wrap it up? In the meanwhile, let me do another interesting thing, okay? Just ask me, otherwise I will start another webinar.
Okay, we have multiple questions. So, one is, what is the supported capture card for zero density?
This is not my question.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Just note down the email address and respond it.
Are we talking about certified hardware?
Yeah.
Definitely. We have a list of our certified hardware on our website, actually. So you can check it on zerodensity.tv. There's a case on how to use Billboard. It's not today's webinar topic, but do you want to answer it, or?
Yes, you can use the Billboard actor in several ways, and I think it is more convenient for you, for this guy, and for me, that I have a POC for this, right? And by the way, we missed the POC.
Oh, we
the
did.
Starter content.
But
just give me.
We can't do it. It's almost 2 hours. We tire our audience.
Okay, just in the next webinar maybe, right? Okay.
So, but
fine.
Still we have questions, so we have to answer them.
Okay.
So, for the billboard, whether billboard is always in front of the camera, that's the question.
Yes, of course. The billboard always face the camera.
Okay, so about how to use it, I think we have also documents for the billboard
Yes,
to use.
yes.
So
We already
on
have
the
that.
website, go to the footer and there is redundancy reality documents. So you can find how to use the billboard on that. And okay, there is a question which is related to our next product launch. Actually. Can we add date from external source like XML or database?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Wait for it.
You can add any data from external source, definitely after when we launch the Reality Hub in the upcoming weeks. So, another from Ito-san. I would like to cook the project to make the performance better. Then, can we change textures in real time?
Yes. The texture that you already defined to be changed in the blueprint, you can change those textures. For instance, you have a virtual wall in your set.
After the cook?
Yes.
Okay.
And you already define a public variable which changed the texture of that wall. So still after the cooking, after the cook, you would be able to change the texture of that wall.
In real time?
Yes. And say my hi to Ito.
So that's actually our final question.
Oh yeah.
And you can find our documentation site. Actually, I will drop it in the chat box for your convenience. So you can just go there and get specific information about how to use them. So here's the link. This is
Should
the
I stop
documentation
sharing?
website. Stop sharing, yeah. So it's the main documentation site for all our reality releases. So check it out, and for our next webinar, do you have a topic?
I have several topics. Let me decide what we're gonna have. And one thing that I need to tell you guys before we wrap it up, that the next webinar will be more specific towards definitely towards the blueprints, and I will, because I just planned it for 1 hour, Brim, and it takes 2 hours. So the next time maybe we just plan it for the 2 hours webinar.
Maybe we choose one topic and then do it.
Yeah, exactly. So it is something related with the UMG widget blueprint.
Sounds good. Okay,
Yeah.
one last question, because I don't want anyone to leave here without their questions answered. How heavy are the levels we can load in the system before it has latency issues? It's a good question.
It's a very good question, but how someone can tell that how heavy? Because the best performance you have out of Unreal, I'm not talking about the reality editor, out of Unreal is...
You want to share your screen again?
Is, yes.
Here.
The best performance you can have.
Wait, share.
Yes. You can see?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. When you have, you see, when you have nothing on a screen, the best performance. when you start put your actors, your lights, your mesh, definitely it takes CPU maybe or GPU, and the blueprints are more related to the CPU, and your graphics is more related to the GPU. So no one can tell that, okay, 2 million polygons and 52 lights makes your scene hit the performance. It's not like this. When you start designing, let's make it optimize. More or less, you have minimum number of lights, minimum, you can say that your material must be optimized when you change something.
Is it related?
There are so many things. It is called the CPU or GPU profiling, and we may have, yes, it's a good idea. We may have a very separate webinar for virtual set designers only, in which I can describe them what are the do's and what are the don'ts, because when the SDI input came in and you have the tracking data and everything else is going on, definitely it might be better to tell them some do's and don'ts regarding this.
Is it relative to the FPS and the
Yes, exactly. It is not only the FPS. There are so many things that we need to take care of, and not from the beginning. Then we are just finishing our job and just check it frequently with the just cook the one version and check it in the studio, and then cook the another version, just check it into the studio. It's a trial and error method. But most of the time, the experienced designer always designs something that don't need to check, because they know how to use the light, how to use the texture. But definitely for the newbies, I recommend them again visit Unreal Academy, and there is a very good webinar there in form of video, already recorded video there, which is related to the rendering, Unreal rendering. That how GPU works, what are the different passes, how we can do the profiling and everything.
There's also a great answer that there are some tools inside Unreal Editor to check level performance.
Yeah,
so
of course, there are. The performance that you are seeing right now, that you want to see, is right there, but you need to check it, and that you need to know everything about those things.
Okay, so what is the configuration of your system and how many applications are installed in your system? Please inform us.
The application, I have two versions of Reality Editor. I have 3 versions that are already installed on the Unreal Vanilla on my machine. I have Adobe Cloud Suite there, Adobe Premiere, After Effects, Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, and all that stuff. I have 3ds Max, I have Blender.
And my machine,
yeah, it's not related a must for everyone, definitely.
Yes.
So the laptop that I'm using is not is something like NVIDIA GeForce GTX Core i7 8th generation, and it works, so far it works fine for me.
But the configurations and the hardware necessities
for the Reality, yes, it is on the website.
You can check the certified hardware link that I've just posted on the chat. It will mostly answer your questions. So this was the final question, but the moment I said it, there's another question, so I will stop saying the final question. Oh no, it was just thank you from Eric. Okay, so then that's it, guys. We are very happy that you joined
Thank you
us
so much.
through this 2-hour webinar that we didn't plan. Thank you so much.
There's still a few things left.
Yes, we recorded and we will definitely send you afterwards, and drop us an email if you have further questions or any preferred topics that you need to see through for us. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and stay tuned and stay connected to get the update for the next webinar. Bye for now. Thank you so much.
Guys.